Chapter 386, Final Struggle. At the same time, in another world, Issei was strangely okay. Even though the explosion that came from detonating the true Longinus could even destroy a planet, it didn't hurt him as much as it somehow fell on the other part of another world. Eviatold. This was the name of this world. The world of Eviatold is divided between Evi and Atold, who have been at war with each other since ancient times. Issei was on Atold's side as his body was reconstructed by the Shikigami, and he was also saved by the leader of the Atold, Rias. It was also due to the self-destruction that the true Longinus didn't explode on the Atold's side as they were protected by Issei's plot armor. Instead, this explosion happened on Evi's side, the mechanical life forms led by Melvizoa. Watching the explosion and destruction that happened on Evi's side, everyone was at a loss for a while. They should be happy that Evi, who was their enemy, was K*led, yet at the same time, they also had a chill since they could see how strong Riser was. As long as Riser is able to come to Eviatold, then we can't continue like this. Issei from the future, who had taken over the current Issei, said righteously. We can't fight between us any longer. We have to combine our power to fight against this crisis. While some of the Evi might not be able to accept the creation of an alliance with Atold, who had been their enemy from ancient times, they knew that they didn't have a choice. If they wanted to win this war, they had to combine their power with each other. So under the leader of Issei, they met the leader of the Atold, Rias. If it was before, they might fight immediately as many of them had died, and whether it was Evi or Atold, they had a grudge that was impossible to erase. Yet, when Issei came, hatred, grudges, and negative feelings disappeared. He had this aura that worked like magic, which could make everyone believe in him. Still, hearing Issei's story, Rias ground his teeth in hatred. Riser Lucifer. He would remember this name and wish to take his life as he knew that this devil would become the obstacle to Atold, or rather, it might become the nemesis of Atold as a whole, especially when he learned Riser's ability from Issei. Yes, as Issei from the future knew many things, he naturally knew about Riser's ability to manipulate a machine from the alpaca tyrant, which he had robbed from others. Riser was evil, and they had to stop him. I know. I will believe in you, and we will fight together to defeat him. No one was sure whether Riser could do another explosion like what he did when he made the true Longinus explode. Yet, they had a feeling Riser should be able to do more, and by then, no one could stay alive anymore. It was also due to this. Issei Hayudo, Regal Ziva, one of the powerful beings on the Eviatold, looked at Issei and asked, I have heard that Shikigami has become one with your body. That's right. Then, let me become one with you too. Huh. Everyone was startled by Regal Ziva's decision. Are you serious, Regal Ziva-sama? Yes. Regal Ziva nodded. It's for the future of everyone. If all of us want to live, I have to do this. He then looked at Issei again and said, Issei Hayudo, can you promise me to defeat Riser Lucifer? Believe me, I will definitely defeat him. Issei didn't have a doubt as he believed that he could defeat Riser. While Riser from the future might be a fearsome creature, this current timeline of Riser was as good as a baby. As long as he gained Regal Ziva's power, he believed that he could take down Riser. Then, I leave everything to you. Like Shikigami, Regal Ziva gave his body, soul, and everything to Issei. At this moment, not only did Issei gain the characteristics of a devil, a dragon, and a divinity, but he also gained the characteristics of a mechanistic life form. His body grew stronger and stronger, and he had become the symbol of hope for everyone. Yet Melvizoa, the leader of Evis, and Rias, the leader of the Atolds, felt that this wasn't enough. For the future of everyone, they knew that they had to do this, and they believed that Issei was someone that they could entrust to. Your strength isn't enough, Issei Hayudo. Yeah, can you bear with us, Issei Hayudo? Still, Issei was stunned by his words. What do you plan to do? Like Shikigami and Regal Ziva, we will give our everything to you. In exchange, we hope that you can protect everyone. Whether it was Melvizoa or Rias, the two showed a sincere expression filled with hope toward this young man. In their minds, as long as they gave their everything to this young man, nothing was impossible. Nevertheless, Issei was startled by their words and determination. His eyes were in tears as he had never thought that someone would believe in him this much. Partner, while my power is limited, I will give all of them to you. No, Drag, your power isn't limited. Your power is amazing. The reason why Issei could fight against Riser was all due to Drag's innate ability, penetration. As long as there was this SK*LL, he believed that he could defeat Riser. Moreover, he also gained the body, ability, and soul of Shikigami and Regal Ziva. Yet, if he could gain even further, then why not, right? Issei came to this world because he wanted to save everyone, especially his harem, as he didn't want them to fall under Riser's hands. This time, you're going to fall. Facing Melvizoa and Risatoris, Issei didn't have any doubt or hesitation. His expression was full of determination and firmness, showing that he would do everything to defeat Riser Lucifer, the source of all calamity in this universe. Leave everything to me. I will definitely bring him a defeat. Your words reassure us. We believe in you, Issei Hayado. There was no doubt in the voice of Melvizoa and Risatoris, and they believed that this young man was able to give them a miracle. Leave everything to me. With those words, Melvizoa and Risatoris gave their everything to Issei Hayado. Chapter 387. Only Excellence. To live without regret, Riser thought there were still many things he wanted to do in his life, so he knew that he needed to win. Everyone was also affected by emotions, and they also didn't want to have regrets, so they did their best in everything. Nevertheless, such a thing needed to stop for a while, especially when Sona's raiding game school was about to open. Unlike before, when her school was only followed by a few people, and most people only saw it as a charity or something. With Riser's support, this school had become much bigger, and Sona also knew while it was possible to make the raiding game school for the low-class devil and the reincarnated devil. There were some adjustments that she needed to make to this school, as those low-class and reincarnated devils weren't the only one that would join on this school. If it was before, Sona might get stubborn and wouldn't change no matter what, but she had become Riser's wife, and she also knew that there was something that she could do and couldn't do. To become a wife that matched Riser's status, she discussed her problem with Riser, who gave her an idea of what kind of school she should create. While the essence of this school didn't change, as it allowed for the low-class devil and the reincarnated devils to join, as there was also a descendant of the high-class devil and other races to join her school. She changed her school with the concept of the strong God everything. Discover excellence. This was the motto of Sona's school. It didn't matter what your status was, whether you were a noble, low-class devil, reincarnated devil, or one of the other races. What was important in this school was your excellence. There was no doubt the concept of this school was great, but at the same time, it was also given a chance for those who didn't have anything to achieve something. Yet, there was no doubt that Riser knew this school would be cruel, as those who didn't have the ability could only be pushed away, especially when this school tried to support a competition. By having a competition, there was no doubt that their strength and will would be tempered, and when they graduated, they became the best among the best. However, at the same time, those who didn't have the ability would only be pushed down and abandoned. Frankly, if it had been before, Sona might not have dared or even rejected such an idea, but she knew how cruel the world was. If one didn't have the ability or the will to try hard, then they could only be abandoned by the world, living an ordinary life. Nevertheless, Sona also understood that it was meaningless to train those who were unwilling. This was a raiding game school, a place where one trained to become the best and champion during their youth. If a competition in the school had made them depressed and give up, then they might as well give up. Sarorg, who was also partly involved in this school, also agreed with the concept of this school. The reason why he could stand up until now, even though he didn't have a talent for his demonic energy, was all due to his talent and his physical ability. He knew that even though he was underestimated, he was special. However, the reason why he could achieve all of this was because he was willing to work hard. He had a will, and he kept trying, so he found his talents. Adults might not be able to do this since they didn't have time, as they also needed to work and provide for their families. However, the children were different. They had a lot of free time, chasing after what they wished, but having a dream and trying to achieve what they wished was a painful thing. If they couldn't even handle this pain, then they might as well give up. This was also probably the reason why the nobles were willing to send their descendants to this school. If this wasn't for this type of education, those nobles might as well have sent their descendants to their usual schools, as a school was nothing but a place for nobles to interact and make connections with each other. Yet, this school aims to make the best of the best. Only one could stand above all of them, and the rest could only become the stepping stones of the others. What a Spartan school. You don't like it? Riser looked at Rosweiss, who was standing by his side as his bodyguard. At this moment, they were in one of the rooms at Sona's school, waiting for the entrance ceremony. Naturally, as Sona's wife, he was present. Rosweiss, who was also Sona's peerage member, did the same. However, As Sona was busy managing the opening of her school, Riser didn't bother his wife and stayed in his room within this school together with Rosweiss. As for why it was Rosweiss? Naturally, if it was others, especially Zenobia, there was no doubt that they might mess around. So there was no doubt among all those who could be trusted, it was only Rosweiss. Yet, was it true that Rosweiss wouldn't mess around? Well, Rosweiss wouldn't do anything, but if she was pushed by Riser, she could only agree, right? Still, to answer his question, she shook her head and said, "No, I agree with this type of education. We're all studying for a better future. If one wants to change their fate, they have to work and bleed more than anyone. They aren't nobles, and they don't have someone they can rely on except themselves. If they can't handle this hard work, then they might as well give up. Everyone came to this place to change their fate. They didn't want to become useless and became like those nobles in the future. If they didn't have a will to preserve, then they might as well give up." Rosweiss was like that in her childhood, as she didn't have a talent for her family's magic. She needed to work harder than anyone, sacrificing her youth for her future. Fortunately, she did this, or she might not be able to meet Riser. "Thanks for your hard work." "Thanks." Leaning on his shoulder, Rosweiss smiled and rubbed her cheek against his, feeling content and thought that her hard work was rewarded. Yet she knew that this wasn't the end, especially when the war was about to happen. Still, suddenly, the door of the room was knocked on. 2x. Rosweiss and Riser looked at each other helplessly, but then someone opened the door. "Riser-sama, Rasis, did you do something perverted at the school?" Zenovia's head poked out from the gap of the house as she looked at them with a smile. 2x. Still, whether Rosweiss or Riser thought that all the students in the school also needed to be taught common sense and etiquette, or else they would become muscleheads like this stupid girl. "Zenovia-san, are you sure that it is okay to say something like that?" Hee, it's okay. It's okay." Behind Zenovia, there was an elderly woman who wore a deep blue-colored robe. "Grandma." Watching this elderly woman, Rosweiss was so happy that she started to talk in her dialect. Yet, Riser was speechless. Was this her grandma? Chapter 388. If I am attacked, there is nothing I can do. Riser was surprised since he hadn't expected that Rosweiss' grandma would be so young. Was it like Rias' family? He had come to Rias' house before, especially after he had set up a help for her family, and he saw her mother, grandmother, and even ancestor. All of them were beautiful women, and he would never have thought that they were all mothers, someone who had given birth to a child. Still, he wasn't a beast, and he wouldn't attack them. Rias and Grafia were enough for him. However, if they attacked him, there was nothing that he could do. Nevertheless, similar to Rias' family, Rosweiss' grandma was also young, which made him sigh, thinking how amazing the supernatural race was. Still, he didn't dare to show such an expression, especially when Zenovia was around. If he showed such an expression, he was sure that this stupid girl would say something idiotic that would make his relationship with Rosweiss' family become awkward. Still, while Rosweiss was excited to meet her grandmother, Gondel, her grandmother, didn't forget the etiquette she needed to give to Lucifer. "Lucifer-sama." Gondel bowed her head deeply, facing the highest being. Looking at Gondel's gesture, Rosweiss didn't say anything since it was something normal for Riser to be respected. Even if she was his woman, she didn't think that her family could be an exception, even if Riser had given them permission not to be polite with him. It wasn't because she was cold or didn't care about her family, but this was etiquette. If Riser was at their house, it might be different, but they were in public, a place where people could see him. Gondel might have been Rosweiss' grandmother, but she was nothing but a high-ranking Valkyrie. Whether it was Thor or Vidar, who was the highest rank of gods among the Norse, needed to give the highest respect to Riser. Naturally, Gondel needed to give even exaggerated respect. "You don't need to bow your head. You are my woman's grandmother's family. I can't do that. You are our leader, after all." Riser only smiled, but he didn't say much since he could see how stubborn she was. "But thank you for taking of Rosweiss, Lucifer-sama." "No, I am the one who she has always taken care of. I am glad that I have her by my side." "Riser-sama." Rosweiss somehow wished to mate with Riser now. "Riser-sama, how about me?" However, as expected, Zenovia also didn't want to lose. Looking at Zenovia helplessly, Riser rubbed her head and said, "You too, Zenovia," which caused her to laugh. Watching their interaction, even though Riser had a harem, Gondel could see that everyone was happy with him, which made her know that he was a good man. Nevertheless, even if he wasn't a good man, there was nothing she could do if he wanted to take Rosweiss, her daughter, or herself to the bed as they could only suck *MB under him, which somehow made her feel a bit restless for some reason. "Oh, by the way, thank you for accepting to become a teacher at my wife's school." No. It's my honor to be able to teach in this school." Unfortunately, Riser didn't have any intention to take down Gondal, which made her feel conflicted, especially when she had made a mental preparation. Riser's unique hobby was obvious to all, and many didn't mind having their wives or girlfriends sleep with him. Yet, it seemed that he didn't have an interest in her, which made Gondal wonder whether she hadn't dressed well enough. If Riser knew what this grandma was thinking, he would come directly to Kuroka as this naughty cat had caused him so much trouble. Nevertheless, the misunderstanding that happened between them didn't cause much trouble. Instead, everything went smoothly from the opening to the ceremony. While Riser didn't do anything and only came to support his wife, many people, whether they were gods, nobles, angels, fallen angels, or many others, came. With him as their leader, the future of the raiding game probably would be even more vibrant and enormous, especially with the other races and myths that seemed to have an interest in this raiding game. In the future, it wasn't only a game for the devil. Instead, all the races would compete against each other in the raiding game, which was something that everyone was looking forward to. Still, before that, they needed to tackle the threat before them, which was the creatures from another world and the parallel world that would come to attack them. While Riser had told them that he was going to fight them by himself, it was impossible for them to stay in silence, and they also needed to move as their homeland was about to be invaded. Nevertheless, all of them could discuss this matter later, especially when the ceremony of the opening of this school had been held. Watching a group of children of various races listen to the ceremony intensely strangely gave everyone a thought that they needed to protect this. "Riser-sama, are you not going to make a speech?" Barakeel asked curiously. It was probably because his daughter was with Riser, so their relationship was close. "No, Sona is the protagonist today. There is no need for me to join the fun." While he was involved in the creation of this school, it was made by Sona. He could help her, but by that time, it wouldn't be her school. Instead, it would be his school, which made it quite different. Yet, as his wife, Sona should know that it was impossible for her to escape from him, but as she had grown up, it didn't matter. However, if it was so easy to meet Riser Lucifer, then what was the point of his high status? This might sound arrogant, but as someone who stood above the others, he should appear elusive and special, and only the best of the best could meet him. Unlike the president or prime minister, who was chosen by the people, he became the leader because of his power. Moreover, instead of being kind, Riser wanted to be feared. Nevertheless, his wife asked him to make a speech, which he was unable to reject, so he appeared in front of everyone, causing everyone to scream in fascination. Still, when he told them to be quiet, all of them shut their mouths before listening to his passionate speech. All of them were excited before they clapped their hands excitedly. "Thank you, dear." Sona smiled sweetly. "You are my wife, after all. There is no need to worry about this small matter." Still, when he returned to the place where all the high-ranking stayed, he noticed the strangeness on Michael. "Michael, what's wrong?" Michael's expression was so ugly before he said with a heavy and gloomy tone, "The heaven is attacked. Everyone." Chapter 389. You are wrong. The difference between heaven and the church had reached a critical point. The alliance and peace that the heaven from the angel's side sought with the devil and the fallen angel couldn't be accepted by the church's side, who were the believers of heaven. Why? Why should they befriend their enemies? Why should they stop swinging their swords and weapons against their enemies? Moreover, how could they erase their hatreds with this alliance? Many members of the church didn't have a good impression of the devil and the fallen angel, as many of their families, lovers, friends, and many others were K*led. Nevertheless, the church gave them a chance for their revenge, so they took this chance without hesitation and avenged their loved ones. The Kuo Treaty, where three races decided to hold hands and make peace, was like a jail for them. They could only endure their hatred and could only do nothing. Even worse, the angels and many of them were used by Riser Lucifer to help with the illegal Phenex tiers. Why should they help the devil? Even if their enemies were evil people, they wondered why they were forced to do this. Still, due to their beliefs, they endured all of this, and they also didn't dare to do anything, especially with how mighty heaven was. Moreover, their beliefs also didn't allow them to get angry toward heaven. Yet to put their hatred toward the devils or the fallen angels was also impossible since they had seen how cruel those two races were. Riser Lucifer. Under the leadership of this being, everything moved in a direction that was unfavorable to the weak human. Moreover, Facing this mighty being, all they felt was a sense of helplessness. Fighting was meaningless, and they could only endure it. Yet, even if they endured everything, it didn't mean they had given up. Instead, it was just being suppressed in the corner of their hearts as if waiting to explode at the right moment. Endure. 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 This is what they thought, but as expected, they still showed their struggle and fangs to show the heaven, devil, and also fallen angel that they, as the church's side, weren't something that they could control like a puppet. Yes, their power might be small and weak, but they believed that they were correct. So due to their beliefs, many also started to follow them. A human might be weak, but their numbers were incredible. In this world, humans have the fourth highest population among living beings. On the other hand, while the supernatural beings were powerful, they had limited numbers as they had a hard time reproducing. They were very different from humans, who could put their pin*s into the va*ina, then make one pre*nant. It was because it was easy for them to reproduce, unlike supernatural beings, that they didn't respect life as much as supernatural beings. If a human didn't have enough money or wasn't ready for the life that was born on their stomach, they could either abandon that child or have an abortion, which was a ridiculous act, and it made them appear more like a devil than the original devil, who treasured their descendants well. Nevertheless, due to this act, the number of church followers became so high that they couldn't be counted. In a life where no one could be trusted, only the higher beings could give them comfort. Yet, when this higher being had betrayed their beliefs, they swore to make it right. However, as expected, they were ignored. 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 No matter how hard they pleaded, prayed, and asked, everything was meaningless. Heaven wouldn't hear them. The God they believed in was no longer with them, and the angels that were supposed to be the most loyal servants of the God decided to follow the devil, the SC*M, and the source of all the evil. Nevertheless, due to this act, some of them were punished, especially the leaders of this group. Yet, even if they were punished, they would never suck *MB. Everything they did was for everyone, and it was impossible for them to give up. The harder the whip was, the harder their resistance was. They believed that they were correct, and they definitely would do everything to make everything correct. Still, while they could fight in heaven, they still believed in heaven, and their beliefs didn't allow them to fight against the angels, so they hoped for the angels to become better. Unfortunately, the angels never got better, and all of them had all started to follow Riser. Even Gabriel, the most beautiful woman and the saint, would soon become Riser's woman. Still, they still endured it. Everyone endured it until, in the end, the death of many on the Eastern European changed everything. What had happened there was seen by many. Death, brutal battle, and everyone saw it. They felt a sense of helplessness as they were unable to do anything against this power. Yet, before all of that, they were in tears when they saw many humans dying. All of those humans, whether they were old or young, a woman or a man, were dying due to the fight between Riser and this mysterious being. Still, whoever this mysterious being was, they felt like they could trust him, and in their eyes, it was Riser who was the evil, and this mysterious being was the justice. Riser Lucifer, an existence that was supposed to protect them, K** led all of them. Yet even so, the angels ignored this tragedy. At that moment, something snapped in their minds, and they knew that they couldn't trust the angels, the symbol of purity, justice, and everything. I can't let this continue. The owner of the Zenith Tempest, the second strongest Longinus, cried as he held the scorched earth after the fight between Riser and this mysterious being. No, all of this should be done by Riser Lucifer. My brothers and sisters. Dulio Gesualdo, the strongest joker among the reincarnated angels, was crying in tears of blood. I will make sure everything is correct. Please support me. Facing all the people who were in despair due to this tragedy, Dulio was going to make everything correct. The church, the heaven, and everything. Everything should be done with kindness and righteousness. So, at the moment, under the lead of Dulio and many followers of the church, they attacked heaven at the same time. As for Riser, who heard all of this, well, they're stupid. This was his only opinion. Chapter 390, Strength is Everything. All the high-ranking beings on the Alliance, who had heard that the church had decided to attack heaven, felt like the human was foolish. They have never changed. Stupidity is their strongest trait. Kaka. Everyone had various reactions, but they felt like it was all due to Michael's laxness. Facing the church, the followers of heaven, Michael had always been kind and gentle, but this how they repaid him? Did they know how powerful Riser was? Did they know how much trouble they had caused him? Foolish. Michael, who had always shown a gentle expression, showed an enraged expression. Unlike the reincarnated devil, who was obedient and loyal to their masters, the reincarnated angels, who they had reincarnated, became traitors who had decided to bite their masters. How ungrateful. Michael had done his best, yet they tried to ruin everything. Do you need my help? Riser asked. Hearing Riser's question, everyone looked at Michael, waiting for his answer. If Michael asked, all of them could move and would K*LL those stupid humans who thought that they could bite their master's hands without being afraid of retaliation. Yet, this is how everything was, right? No matter what kind of evil the church had done, heaven never did anything. As long as the number of their believers increased, they left everything to the human. Yet, it was a different matter when this group of humans wanted to attack them. Michael took a deep breath and said, "It's okay. I can handle them." No matter how strong the humans were, in the end, they were just weak humans, so there was no need for everyone's help. Still, if you need help, you can talk to me. Thank you, Riser-sama. Do you want me to send you to heaven now? Please. Before you go, take this with you. Michael widened his eyes as he received a sword from Riser. He bowed his head deeply and thanked him. Thank you, Riser-sama. Go. Riser used his teleportation ability and sent Michael away to heaven. Still, he knew that this was just the beginning, and he decided to summon Bediz Abaddon and Roygun Belphegor to meet him. As for the problem of heaven, with Michael, there was no need to worry. Moreover, if Michael needed his help, Riser could come anytime. Still, as Bediz and Roygun were called by Riser, the two were confused and felt a bit nervous somehow. After all, unlike before, his height was so high that they felt stupid to fight him in the past. Even Sarorg, whom they had never defeated in the past, was defeated so easily, like an adult taking candy from a baby. You don't need to be nervous. Lucifer-sama. 2x. While Bediz was shaking, Roygun wished to be impregnated by Riser somehow. It was said that Graphia had become his woman, so he could accept someone her age, right? By the way, you two used a king piece, right? 2x. Riser-sama. Their expressions were so pale white that they didn't know what to do. Should they try to silence Riser? Just kidding. The moment they tried to show hostility toward Riser, they would be erased from this world. After all, unlike Riser, who was natural and born strong, they were artificially strong. Or rather, the truth, they weren't strong at all. I'm not going to do anything to you. You don't need to feel afraid. In my eyes, the king piece is like sacred gear or any other weapon used by the devils in the raiding game. What's wrong with using a weapon to strengthen yourselves? If there were others, they would think that Bediz and Roygun were cheating, but Riser didn't think so. Then, if they thought that they were cheating, then they might as well forbid the use of weapons or sacred gear as they were something gifted by God. What was the difference between sacred gear users, who received their power from God's system, and Bediz and Roygun, who received power from the Great King faction? If they felt that it was unfair, then they might ask those who participated in the raiding game to throw up all their talents, hard work, privilege, and everything, turning everything into a zero so everything could be fair. Still hearing his words, Bediz and Roygun sighed in relief, then nodded. You are right, Lucifer-sama. The source of our power isn't different from others. Whether Bediz and Roygun had a good family, then why shouldn't they use their family resources well? While everyone sought fairness, there was no such fairness in this world. Only the winner and the loser. If you want to become the winner, then be selfish and use everything to become stronger. After all, this was your own life, and the others wouldn't care about you, whether your life was good or not. If you didn't fight for it, the others would trample you down. As someone from a good family, they knew more about how evil a heart could be, and they were sure the moment they failed, many would laugh and feel happy before they chomped down their everything. It was the same case as Rias' family before, who were in ruin after the death of Surzek. Now, there is a reason why I am calling you here. Please tell us, Lucifer-sama. Whatever your request is, I will do anything for you. Bediz looked speechlessly at Roygun, but Riser only showed an awkward smile and said, Well, Diehauser seems to know that you two are using the evil piece. 2x. Probably, he is trying to reveal this to everyone. 2x. By then, it is clear what is going to happen to the two of you, right? Bediz and Roygun took a deep breath and knew what they should do. They were all smart and the leaders of their own family, and they knew why he wished to meet them was because he wanted them to K*LL Diehauser. However, when their interest was going to be taken from them by Diehauser, even if Riser didn't say anything, they would K*LL Diehauser. Like Diehauser, the rating game, was their everything. Diehauser wanted to rob everything, so then don't blame them for robbing his everything. However, this isn't all. I know that Diehauser is also going to cooperate with Risavim, the leader of the Clippeth. You don't need to worry, Lucifer-sama. We will take care of this SC*him. We will do everything to K*LL him. The two had made up their determination. You don't need to worry. I will help you later. Thank you, Lucifer-sama. 2x. Still, Riser sighed and said, though, I wonder why someone can be so stupid. Mediz and Roygun shook their heads and felt the same way, yet they felt like this was fair. Diehauser was blessed with strength, but in exchange for that, he was an idiot. When are we going to attack him, Lucifer-sama? Let's wait for a while. Let's catch him when he is doing the crime. So Mediz, your power is needed here. Leave this to me. With that meeting, they decided to take down Diehauser. Nevertheless, in heaven, something huge happened. The angels were all confused by how the church had decided to attack them. While some of them had died because of the cruelty of their followers, they acted fast by contacting Michael. The church was their loyal followers, but why should they attack them? Yet, it wasn't because of this status. All the angels were going to K*LL those followers, since how dare they K*LL their comrades? The angels had already had a hard time reproducing, and each of them was important, yet some of them were K*led. If they weren't afraid to fall, they would K*LL those humans. Still facing the angels, who could only run away, the group of the church became excited, and they thought of conquering heaven by themselves. At this moment, many noticed that everything had gone wrong. The change had become something uncontrollable, and K*ling the angels wasn't something that they wished for, yet it had happened. Dilio, Griselda Corda, Gabriel's queen, one of the reincarnated angels, looked at this group of humans who had attacked heaven with tears. Corda-san. Dilio gritted his teeth and knew that everything was out of control, but how could he stop it? No, this is necessary, we need to. Suddenly, a powerful aura swept all of them, causing them to tremble in fear. All the angels listened to me. Michael's voice echoed throughout the space. Then he made his judgment. K*LL all of them. Leave no one behind. At that moment, heaven became hell. Chapter 391. Angel Massacre. This was probably the difference between the angel with the devil and the fallen angel. If it was the devil and the fallen angel, even if one was a leader of this race, there was still a chance for their followers to betray them. However, the angel was different. As everyone had chosen Michael as their leader, no one disobeyed his orders, and they raised their blade of light to K*LL the human who dared to attack them. Huh? What? Well, wait. This is different. Yet, it was too late. 1, 4, tens, hundreds, then thousands. All of them were K*led by the angels without any emotions on their faces. Ergeg, forgive me. Forgive me. Michael-sama, I beg for your forgiveness. Yet, no one listened to their pleas. All the angels moved like machines and massacred those insolent humans. Did they think that an angel was a kind being? Did they think that an angel was the protector of the human being? Did they think that an angel wouldn't do anything when they were attacked? No way. The reason why the angels were kind was because all of them followed the God, their creator. Nevertheless, the God had died, but even so, their faith never disappeared, and they still followed the God. Yet, as the God had died, the humans thought that they could do anything. They felt like they were the ruler and the owner of this land. This was something that they couldn't tolerate, so they might as well destroy them. Under Michael's leadership, all the angels took down all the humans without batting their eyes. No one felt sorry for those humans and even felt their lives would be better being put in hell after they died. Oh, that's what they were going to do. So no human would dare to do such a thing in the future. Nevertheless, all the humans who came to attack heaven were crying in horror and terror. All of them thought that everything was in front of their eyes, everything was for them, yet it was just an illusion, and they were nothing but weak creatures in front of the angels. So they begged for mercy. Please forgive us. Forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me. Oh, Gabriel-sama, please don't K*LL me. Yet, Gabriel, who was the kindest among them, K*led everyone without looking away. Yes, she might be gentle, but it didn't mean that she didn't dare to K*LL. She was an archangel and an angel who had fought in the big war between the angel, devil, and fallen angel. Did people think that she was innocent because she was the kindest among the devil? Who in the supernatural world has never K*led others? Even the exorcists, who thought that they were on the justice side, had also K*led others, right? Even though the person they had K*led was either a devil or a vampire, those creatures also had a family. Yet, they didn't care about any of that and thought that they were the right ones. Still, with Michael as the leader, everyone started their counterattack, and all the humans were massacred. Yet, among them, there was also an angel who didn't move, and that was the reincarnated angel. Watching the angels, who K*led their compatriots, they felt like the angels had become unfamiliar. They weren't the beings that were entrusted and believed in their faiths, but cruel beings that wouldn't hesitate to K*ll others. Michael-sama, please forgive them. All of them should be sorry. Please give them mercy. All of the reincarnated angels came to Michael and begged him to stop while trembling in fear and crying. Nevertheless, Michael stared at them coldly and said, K*ll them. Everyone was at a loss and stared at Michael in disbelief. Unlike the original angels, who followed Michael without any hesitations and K*led all the humans without saying a single word, all the reincarnated angels hesitated until, in the end, one of them said, No, I won't K*ll. Michael simply K*led this person with a single swing of his sword. Looking at the sword in his hand, he had to say that he felt that it was a nice reward from Riser. The sword given to him was quite similar to the sword given to Barakiel, but its color was white, and silver gave off a divine feeling. Holding this sword, his aura became even mythical and made people tremble in fear when they saw him. Moreover, he also got stronger under the sun, which made him realize how amazing this sword would be. This is the last time. If you can't listen to me, then die. Nevertheless, Michael never forgave them. This group of reincarnated angels was also partly the reason why the humans became insolent and dared to fight the heavens. At the same time, he also thought about how the devils would K*ll the reincarnated devil that had gone astray. He felt like they should do the same to the reincarnated angel who couldn't listen to his words. However, if they agreed, was there a point for him to do this cruel thing? All of them trembled in fear as it was their first time to see Michael, who was so cold. Michael exuded a K*ling intent, and once they didn't agree, they would be K*led by Michael. Should they be K*led because they didn't want to K*ll their compatriots, or should they K*ll the others because they were ordered to do so and to protect their lives? Yet, only a few of them knew what it was all about because of their acts to attack heaven. If they hadn't attacked heaven, would all of this have happened? Those who understood only a small number, but whether they understood or not, it didn't matter since if they didn't move, then Michael was going to K*ll them. At this moment, it was like a countdown, and if they didn't move, then they would be K*led by Michael. The hesitation was only for a moment, and by then, someone started to move and charge toward the humans who attacked heaven, as there were still a lot of them. Ergeg. When one started to move, the others also followed. All of them then started to K*ll those humans with tears in their eyes, almost crazily. Watching this, Michael didn't do anything until suddenly, a strong breeze covered the entire field and stopped the angel's movement. Michael-sama, please stop this. Michael looked at the person who easily stopped everyone, the owner of the second strongest Longinus and the greatest disappointment of the reincarnated angel. Dulio Gesualdo. Chapter 392, Your Last Chance. Michael looked at Dulio and thought that he really hadn't taught this child much. He had left him alone and let him do whatever Dulio wanted to do. Yet it was because what Dulio did was harmless, as Dulio was only going out to hunt the evil beings, test delicious foods, or give hope to those children who had lost it. Yet, unexpectedly, Dulio was surprised by becoming the leader of this rebellion who attacked heaven. Moreover, from this, it was easy to see how hypocritical Dulio was, as he didn't do anything when some of the angels were wounded and K*led. When the human was started at a disadvantage, he started to move as if he was the savior. Nevertheless, as the strongest exorcist ever lived, when Dulio appeared, the angels stopped as they knew Dulio's power. Yet, the humans were all excited, thinking that they saw hope when Dulio appeared. Still, watching the expression of that human, Michael knew that there was no hope for them anymore, and he thought to end all of them. Dulio, as my joker, I will give you a last chance. Nevertheless, Michael still felt reluctant to lose this second strongest Longinus user. K*ll all of the sinners for me. Everyone fell into silence, and all of them were so nervous. The air was so suffocating that no one could talk, and they felt like their chest was about to burst due to the nervousness. It was also the same case as Dulio, as he had never expected the leader of all the angels in heaven would be so cruel. Was this the true face of the angel? Or was Michael being affected by the devil? Many thoughts appeared in his mind, yet he had never thought that it was all their fault to invade heaven. Yet, for the angels, this was already their limit. Their homes, their sacred garden, and the last remaining gift left by their Lord, God, were stomped, stained, and dirted by a human. Moreover, if something like this could happen once, then wouldn't it be possible for it to happen twice? This was already their limit, and they weren't going to forgive those humans. Still hearing Michael's heartless order, Dulio was stunned, and he couldn't believe what he had heard. His body was shaking, and he turned to look at the group of humans that had come to attack heaven with him. As if noticing Dulio's decision, all of the humans quickly begged. No, don't K*LL us, Gesualdo. We beg you, please. We're really sorry for what we have done. We won't do this again. Watching them begging him, Dulio closed his eyes and said courageously to Michael, Michael-sama, they have repented themselves. Please forgive them, Michael-sama. Yes, Michi-sama, please forgive us. We won't do it again. Please. Please. As if gaining courage from Dulio, all of them begged together that they put their heads on the ground. Yet, Michael never changed his decision. Do it, or I will K*LL you here, Dulio. He had seen many humans, and they thought that just a simple forgiveness would change everything. A human was, in the end, an animal. When they saw something, they got greedy. Some were smart, and they knew what they should do and what they shouldn't do, but most of them were stupid, and they got ahead of themselves, thinking whatever they did would be forgiven. It was the same case as Dulio, this stupid boy. No, please, Michael-sama. Please change your decision. They should be given a chance. They have repented themselves. There is no need for us to fight anymore. Then, why did you come to attack us here in the heaven? Michael roared for the first time. Do you think that we're your tool? Do you think as long as you ask for forgiveness, you will be forgiven? Then why did you think God created a hell? If there was a reason why God created hell, then it was because of this type of people. Did you think this will end as long as you ask for forgiveness? Then, what will happen to those angels that you have K*LLED and wounded? Moreover, do you think you can hide those dirty eyes from me? The K*ling aside, there were many who thought that they could get their hands on the angels and do something dirty to them. While in the original, Issei might have done the same by looking at the angels with a perverted gaze, he was the original, and he also had the power to back up his perverted act. However, what did those humans think? Did they think that they could gaze at the angels with those dirty eyes? Michael was so furious that he wished to exterminate every human in this world. At this moment, he thought about what Riser had said before and realized how naive he was. If he wasn't so naive and gentle, then would all of this happen? Yet, Michael knew what he had done wrong, and he wouldn't let his guard down anymore. While he wouldn't exterminate all humans, he wouldn't hesitate to K*LL all of those who were involved in this matter, even if he had to K*LL all the beings in the church. Nevertheless, Michael knew the importance of power. Only power was necessary. Justice and wrong? Those things could change depending on those who stood above them. Still, unlike Riser, who could K*LL others easily even if they were a Longinus user, Michael wanted Dulio to change. Moreover, as his Joker, he knew Dulio's personality well, and as long as Dulio could change, then everything would be solved. Yet, facing Michael's judgment and roars, Dulio felt like his heart was crushed. He knew well that everything had gone in the wrong direction, but he tried to close his eyes, thinking that everyone was going to be all right, as he knew how God and angels would forgive those who repented. Yet, unexpectedly, they didn't receive their forgiveness, and what awaited them was a cruel judgment. Dulio couldn't even look Michael in the eyes and turned his eyes to the people who had come to attack heaven. No, Gesualdo. Please save us. We beg you. As an orphan, Dulio thought of everyone as brothers and sisters, so there was no way for him to let them die, right? Dulio closed his eyes, then made up his determination. He wasn't sure where this courage came from, but he said courageously to Michael, Michael-sama, I think this is wrong. Please reconsider your decision. Please forgive them. They won't do it again. He thought that by showing his determination, Michael would change his decision. Then, along with Dulio's pleas, the others also followed. But one of the heads of those humans exploded and died by Michael's beam of light. Yet, this wasn't the end. Michael attacked Dulio with the intention to K*LL. Then, die. At this moment, Dulio realized that an angel wasn't such a forgiving being. Chapter 393. There is no miracle. There was no trace of pity on Michael as he had decided to K*LL Dulio. Facing this attack, Dulio was startled, and his heart was so cold due to the fear. He might have fought many fights, but due to his power, many of them were defeated so easily. Facing the power of Zenith Tempest, everyone could only give up before they started to fight, so there weren't many chances for him to feel dead. Yet, Michael was serious, and he had intended to K*LL Dulio with the sword, which made him shocked and unable to believe what he had seen. Nevertheless, as someone with the second strongest Longinus, Dulio wasn't weak, and facing Michael's sword, he dodged, but his left hand was cut down. Ardric. The feeling of his arm being torn and then burned was something that he couldn't bear. Yet, there was no mercy, and Michael kept attacking. He would never give Dulio a chance to fight, and he was going to end this battle instantly. However, there was no way for Dulio to be defeated so easily. Freeze. Suddenly, everything before him was frozen. Yes, this was the power of Zenith Tempest, the second strongest Longinus. It allows its users to manipulate the weather and elemental attributes that exist in nature, which grants them control over fire, wind, lightning, water, earth, and ice. It was also why Dulio was able to freeze Michael. Yet, even if Dulio was able to freeze Michael, he wasn't able to stop the others from K*ling all humans. No, don't K*LL me. I beg you. I beg you. Even though Michael was frozen by Dulio, no one stopped, and everyone followed Michael's order. Watching this, Dulio was in so much pain. His expression was full of regret, yet he didn't think that he was wrong since he felt the angel was the wrong one. He was about to use his Zenith Tempest to stop angels, but suddenly, an intense heat that caused his body to shudder was felt from behind. Dulio was startled and released 12 golden wings and 4 halos above his head, running away from Michael's sudden attack. Boom. The explosion happened, and many people died, yet Michael didn't seem to change his expression. Open your eyes, Michael-sama. This fight is meaningless. There is no need for us to fight anymore. Dulio tried to persuade Michael once again, but his eyes kept staring at the battlefield below and wished to stop this massacre, yet how could Michael allow him? Yet, Michael had to say that he felt intense regret when he saw Dulio release the 12 angel wings and 4 halos above his head. He realized that he shouldn't reincarnate a human into an angel. After all, if he didn't do this, then would this kind of trouble exist? Michael knew that an angel and a human were different. The reincarnated angel was different from the reincarnated devil, especially when the reincarnated devil understood their hierarchy and had absolute obedience. However, the reincarnated angel was different as the angel treated them kindly, like a family, yet how did they repay him? The angel had given that human power, yet this is what they had done. If possible, he wanted to start a judgment day and destroy everything at this moment. Still, facing Dulio's plea, Michael ignored him and continued to attack him. As the two fought, all the angels continued to massacre the humans. Some of the reincarnated angels resisted this act as they didn't want to do it, but in the end, they were all K*led. No one had mercy. Even Gabriel K*led many of them. Still, watching all of this happen, Dulio couldn't handle it anymore. It was like something inside him exploded, and he knew that the angel had been tainted by the devil. I am sorry, Michael-sama, but you are wrong. I will have to end all of this. Michael only rolled his eyes since, in this world, there was no absolute right or wrong. Those who decided right and wrong were those who stood above. The weak and oppressed had no right to point to the others that they were wrong. If Dulio wasn't even the owner of Zenith Tempest, would Michael bother to talk with Dulio? No way. In the end, Michael knew that Riser was correct. The Longinus was too dangerous, and it was necessary to collect all of them. There was no need for them to appear in the hands of humans anymore. With that determination, Michael had to K*LL Dulio. Yet how could Dulio accept being K*led like this? Facing this K*ling intent while it was hard, Dulio was going to K*LL Michael. This was something that Dulio never thought would happen, but he knew that he had to do it, or else everything would be destroyed. So, inevitable punishment of the Holy Angel's rainbow, shining star of the end. Like other Longinus, Zenith Tempest also had its own balance breaker, and Dulio, who was a genius, was able to manage its balance breaker further. His appearance became even holier. Dulio was like a real angel, bringing hope to those who saw him. Yet, this angel decided to K*LL the leader of all the angels, Michael. Stretching his hands, Dulio created countless bubbles that trapped Michael inside before creating swirling flames, violent hurricanes, freezing cold air, and vicious torrents of lightning. All elements were combined with each other and attacked Michael mercilessly. When Dulio does this, he is in tears as he knows that what he has done is wrong, yet he still does it because he knows that the angels have gone wrong. You don't need to worry, Michael-sama. I will bring everything to the right. Due to how intense Dulio's attack was, the battlefield stopped for a moment, and everyone was startled by his power. While the angels were worried, the humans were excited. Michael-sama, Dulio. Their expressions were mixed. While the angels thought that their leader was going to die due to Dulio's attack, the humans showed a vicious expression once again. As expected, huh? Suddenly, a cold voice was heard from inside the bombardment inside the bubbles. Huh? Pride flare. At that moment, everything vaporized. All the bubbles that Dulio prided upon were erased by the intense heat emitted from Michael's body. Dulio couldn't even react, and his body was directly vaporized by Michael's attack. Everyone was silent as they hadn't expected this development. Continue the massacre, Michael said calmly. Hearing his words, everyone stopped their gaffe and attacked the humans again, and heaven was full of screams until an unexpected figure appeared before them. Michael, can you stop the battle? When this figure appeared, everyone fell into silence again. While the angels were surprised, the humans were also dumbfounded since the one who saved them during their crisis wasn't their god but the devil they hated the most. Riser Lucifer. Chapter 394. Dear Best. When Riser appeared, all the angels stopped. Still, Michael was surprised when he saw Riser and quickly approached him, then showed his alliance. Riser-sama. The rest also followed, and they kneeled before him. All the humans were dumbfounded, but they quickly groveled as they knew Riser was the one who saved them. If they still felt resistance toward him, then death was their destination. Even the strongest joker was K*led. Those who were nothing more than a mere exorcist could only suck *MB. Still, many, especially the reincarnated angels, sighed, looking at Riser gratefully since they knew if Riser didn't stop Michael, then the massacre would continue. Get up, Michael. Yes. The rest didn't get up as Riser didn't ask them. I think that you have K*led them enough. There is no need for you to K*ll them anymore. While Michael was stunned by Riser's words, he didn't have that much rejection. Instead, he was also grateful since there was no doubt that those who were pained by this massacre were him. Those humans. While he hated them for tarnishing heaven and K*ling some of the angels, there was no doubt that he felt sorry. Yet, as the leader of heaven, this was what he should do, especially when those humans had gotten ahead of themselves. Yes. As Michael nodded and stopped the massacre, Riser then looked at his contracted magician and said, Meredith, help them tend to their wounds. Yes, Riser-sama. Meredith made a salute and went to the group of humans. Watching Meredith, who had left, Riser then looked at Michael and said, Can you guide me around heaven, Michael? Sure, Riser-sama. With those words, the two walked around heaven as Michael introduced the heaven to Riser. As for the rest, they started to help the humans as if nothing had happened, and the humans also showed gratitude as they had been forgiven. Still, one seraph stared in the direction of Riser and Michael. Gabriel. No nothing. How do you feel? Horrible. Michael sighed, but he knew that this was something that he had to do. Are you angry that I have stopped you? Riser asked. No. Michael quickly refuted and said, I think this is a great move, Riser-sama. The reason why the church showed resistance toward heaven was due to their rejection of Riser. Still, in this cruel massacre, Riser showed his compassion and forgave those humans who had attacked the angels. There was no doubt that this move would enhance Riser's image among the church followers. Michael also didn't mind this, especially when Riser had become the ruler of this world. It might not be wrong to say that Riser was a god. No, Riser was even better than God. After all, the God of the Bible was unable to become the ruler of this world. Moreover, the reason why the God of the Bible became the greatest God was all because God was powerful. Whether the teaching of God was wrong or right, it didn't matter since strength determined everything. If the gods from the pagan were stronger, then would they be called pagan gods? It was because the God of the Bible was the strongest that he had become a god. Watching Riser grow up step by step, Michael knew that truth. It was also because of this that Michael didn't mind becoming the bad guy. Michael K*led the human, and Riser forgave the human. This was nothing but a bad guy and a good guy technique. By doing this, no one in the church would hesitate to follow Riser anymore. This might be a cliché technique, but it was effective. It's great that you are not unhappy. How could I be? Michael shook his head and understood Riser's reason for doing this. Moreover, he also felt that the massacre was enough. But, do you think I'm too naive? Riser asked. Michael couldn't deny it since he knew well how evil a human's heart can be. Even the most devoted followers of heaven dared to attack heaven and caused much harm. Even if they were grateful to Riser, who knew what they thought inside their hearts. Frankly, in his mind, Michael felt like it was better to destroy everything and build everything from zero. By then, Michael could teach the humans himself, telling them what they should and shouldn't do. It might be troublesome at first, but it was better than letting those humans back into the church. Those humans might feel sorry, scared, and grateful, but then, as long as they thought those who had been K*led, they would start their revenge. Riser smiled and asked, "Do you know why I only bring Meredith with me? Now that you mention it." Frankly, Michael also felt confused as to why Riser decided to bring Meredith alone, especially when there were many people who could accompany him, and those people were even stronger than Meredith. Moreover, her ability was nothing more than a sealing and a security magic. Would she be able to seal everyone's memory? Michael thought for a moment and wasn't sure why Riser brought Meredith, so he waited for his answer. The real reason why I made her into my contracted magician was all due to her sacred gear. Sacred gear. Alpheka Tyrant. That's her sacred gear. Alpheka Tyrant? It's a new sacred gear that has the ability to control a human's mind. Michael widened his eyes. Then. I am not so naive to believe those humans. Riser wasn't so naive to believe that those humans could repent. Instead, he knew that as long as they were given a chance, they would bite them down cruelly like a beast. He didn't doubt it since that was how a human was. Kindness among humans might have existed, but a human was, in the end, an animal. To stay alive, they consumed the others. So, instead of believing them, Riser believed in Meredith's ability more. With Meredith's ability, their worries disappeared. By the way, you are the only one that I have told this to. Riser looked at Michael and said, "You can ask her help to clean up the church." Thank you, Riser-sama. At the time, Michael vowed to follow Riser forever. Then, as they talked, Michael suddenly said, "By the way, Riser-sama, I will bring Meredith to clear up the church, and I will have someone else to guide you around heaven." Who? You don't need to worry. You are familiar with her. Watching Michael smile, Riser knew that this angel was more crafty than he had thought and, as expected. Riser-sama, I will be the one who guides you to heaven after this. Gabriel showed a warm smile to Riser. Riser, do your best, Gabriel. This is for heaven, Michael thought as he remembered Gabriel's sacrifice. Chapter 395, The Peace of the Devil and the Angel. As Michael was busy managing heaven and the church, considering there were still many dirty things remaining in his faction, he left Riser in the care of Gabriel. If it was before, there might be some doubts, and many might clamor that something like that couldn't be allowed, especially with Riser's status as a devil. In the past, Riser and Gabriel were like Romeo and Juliet. They loved each other, but their countries didn't allow them to be one. Yet, unlike Romeo, who could only wallow himself in sadness and commit suicide, Riser dominated the world and made others give Gabriel to himself willingly and enthusiastically instead of begging. In the end, Romeo was nothing but a spoiled prince who had nothing every day. If he made himself stronger and fought in the war, giving him the nickname of God of War, what could the other country do except give Juliet to Romeo? Still, Riser didn't care about Romeo and Juliet and walked around heaven under the guidance of Gabriel. While something huge, such as a civil war between heaven and the church, had happened, it didn't change heaven that much. The angels weren't so weak that they could be defeated by a group of humans easily. If Michael had come earlier, there was no doubt that the massacre would have happened sooner. In this world, there are many heavens, and this is the heaven in the Christian myth. I see. Considering there were many myths in this world, Riser felt like it was normal, for there were several heavens in the world. However, this place was the Christian heaven, the home of angels, as well as the former home of the fallen angels and the God of the Bible, before his death. It has a system to help prevent angels from falling. When activated, it surrounds the angel in what looks like a barrier filled with angel symbols. Does it have such a function? Gabriel nodded as she stared at him. No, on his lips, as if she wanted to show him that she wouldn't fall even if she kissed him. Riser fell silent and thought it had been a while since he met Gabriel. Their first meeting was when he went to the Vatican since he happened to be there. Yet, whether it was unfortunate or fortunate, he met Gabriel, and she wished to follow him. By then, while he might not have thought too much about their relationship, his existence brought so much change to Gabriel. Frankly, the moment they met each other, neither of them cared about heaven much. When Gabriel saw him, she wished to leap into him, hug him tightly, then kiss his lips, and then do even more. Yet, As one of the seraphs, she knew there was something that she had to do and couldn't do, especially when she was in front of everyone. However, at this moment, they were alone. No one could stop them, and she even gained everyone's support. Yet, as expected, as a woman who didn't have experience in that area, she didn't know what to do and only glanced at Riser from time to time, wondering when he was going to attack, considering his reputation and all. Nevertheless, Riser was silent, wondering whether his reputation was that horrible. Still, he had to say, even though it had been a while, Gabriel's beauty was as great as ever, with curly blonde hair and a voluptuous figure. It was said that she was the most beautiful woman in heaven, and he didn't think that was wrong. Still, if he slept with Gabriel, he could imagine that Seraphol would swallow him whole, considering Gabriel was Seraphol's rival. Yet, after his fight with the Great Red, he never hesitated. Moreover, with the great battle before him, he knew that many things would happen and he might even die, considering his opponents were from another world and a parallel world. Frankly, if possible, he wanted to go to another world where Issei was hiding, yet he couldn't pinpoint the location of this world, which made him helpless. Still, even if he couldn't go to another world, he could go to the future parallel world where Gasper and Issei from the future came from. Frankly, he wanted to go there and sleep with Issei's wives, telling him what it meant to fight him, but he wouldn't do so unless he was sure that he had taken down all of his opponents. At the moment, his focus has always been on Issei from the future. So, he took a deep breath and asked, "By the way, I have heard that you have created a better version of the interdimensional room." "Ah, yes." Gabriel blushed and nodded. "We have done that research. Do you want to see it, Lucifer-sama?" "Riser." "Eh? Just like before, call me Riser." Gabriel stared at Riser with reddened eyes, then nodded, thinking that he hadn't changed, which she was glad for. Holding his hand, she could feel the warmth that she sought after, something that she had always dreamed of. If it was before, she might not dare to do this as she knew she would fall as a fallen if she did so, but now, she wished to be with him. Holding his hand, she took him to the advanced version of the interdimensional room, which was located on the fifth heaven. The heaven is divided into 7 regions, and the fifth heaven is the former home of the members of Gregory before they fell. It is now filled with research institutes where the brave saints were created. While Riser didn't like it, he knew that this place had the influence of Azazel. Still, it didn't matter as Azazel had died, and he had made him into a hero, which was the best ending for him. Nevertheless, Riser didn't care about Azazel, especially when Gabriel led him into the advanced version of the interdimensional room. Unlike the simple room where he did it with Irina, this room was massive, with a jacuzzi and many other luxurious things. However, the fact that it had a lot of religious items that were related to the church didn't change, which made him helpless. Fortunately, even though he was a devil, he had an affinity toward a holy thing, so when Gabriel hugged and kissed him, he fit her well, and everything was completed. The moment they closed the door, there was no need to talk anymore, and they pressed each other's lips greedily, yet as expected, Gabriel was still a virgin, and she didn't know much, so Riser guided her, inserting his tongue inside her mouth as he carried her to the bed ready to combine the angel and the devil, creating the bridge of 2 opposite races. Riser, Riser, Riser. Still, as expected, those who were the quietest had always been the lewdest. Chapter 396. Religion is a good thing. As one of the seraphs of heaven, Gabriel wasn't weak. She was as strong as the original 4 Satans, having the might that made her able to rule over the angels and the church. Yet, in front of Lucifer, such a might was as good as meaningless. At this moment, there was no such thing as the holiest being in the world. What was left was only a woman who wished to be impregnated by her man. Riser-sama, Riser-sama, give me more. Shaking her waist lewdly, Gabriel sat on his waist as she moved her round and soft buttocks like a female cowboy. Due to her intense movement, 2 heavy masses on her chest moved around like a pendulum that tried to hypnotize him. Yet, Riser was strong. His will had been tampered with by many challenges, and he knew that he was going to win this battle. As expected, even if Gabriel wished to take his everything, before long, her innermost was so full of his juice that she couldn't drink anymore. Meanwhile, Riser, whose recovery could even help him to reincarnate and make it impossible to die, was able to stand up in the end. Or rather, he hadn't had enough. Yet, Riser didn't do anything and let Gabriel rest while deciding to check the rewards that he had gained from what had happened earlier. While he might not have taken part in cleaning up the church, the reason why Michael destroyed the church was partly because of him. Yet, He also wondered how humans could be so brave that they would try to fight heaven. Was it because of Issei's effect? Riser sighed, wondering why everything was moved to Issei. Why did they think that Issei was better than him? Had he done something wrong? Riser felt like he had never treated anyone unfairly and only fought all of his enemies. That's what he did. If he didn't do so, then he would be the one who died, after all. If someone started everything, it was Issei and those of his cronies. Moreover, there was also the will of the world. Riser knew that this world wished for Issei to become the main character, solving everything and fighting along with his comrades. How laughable. He wanted to laugh somehow, but as everything had become like this, he had to fight until the end. Congratulations, you have received the Armageddon SK*LL and the Miracle. Riser looked at his SK*LLS and wondered whether he had become an angel or even a god. Frankly, he had devoured many gods, but those were gods from another myth, and they weren't from the Christian myth, so he knew that he wasn't like those things. Yet, with the rewards he gained, he somehow was able to become an angel, or slightly similar being to the God of the Bible. Still, let him explain the two SK*LLS which he gained. The first SK*LL, Armageddon, allowed him to summon an army of up to 2 million angels who obeyed him. Naturally, this angel wasn't an angel from heaven in this world. Instead, those angels were something created from another world, like the ocean, which allowed him to create an ocean from another world. If he had to, it was like the Innovate Clear, which made him able to create living beings in the pocket dimension, but unlike Innovate Clear, the Armageddon allowed him to summon those beings, and the beings that he could create was only limited to an angel. Moreover, those angels weren't weak. With those numbers alone, it should be possible for him to destroy the world. Somehow, he understood where the name Armageddon came from. Still, if this was enough to impress you, then you were wrong, since there was another SK*LL that made him dumbfounded. The Miracle. This ability had 3 effects: probability manipulation, damage empowerment, and hope infusing. Each of those effects was amazing, and they were enough to make him one of the superpowers in this world. Nevertheless, let him explain each of the uses of those effects. The first was the probability manipulation, an ability that allowed him to give more chances to defeat his enemy. As long as the chance wasn't 0, he could make something near impossible to be possible. Defeat into victory. The extinction became a rebirth. There were many examples, but there was no doubt this ability was suitable to be called the Miracle. However, even without this SK*LL, Riser, who was a desperado, could manipulate fate, turning everything unfavorable into favorable for him. Still, aside from this effect, there was also a damage empowerment, which made him get stronger and stronger as he was hurt. It was like the Crisis SK*LL, he thought. As for hope infusing, it was a concept-like ability that could manifest hope, then give him a nigh-indestructible body and reflect any damage he received. Frankly, Miracle was kind of redundant as he had abilities with similar effects, but it also gave him a new characteristic of his body. With this characteristic, he could create a golden angel-like wing, a sword, and a bow, and even transform himself into another unique state. Even if Miracle had a similar effect to many of his abilities, it had unlimited potential that he could develop. Nevertheless, with those abilities, he knew that heaven and the church were as good as his. Unlike other devils who thought that religion was bad, he felt like religion was a good tool. Riser knew that his words might be provocative, but please listen to him. In the end, a human was nothing but a more intelligent animal. Like an animal, when they were born, it was impossible for them to think what was right and wrong. Instead, their instinct was only to stay alive and reproduce. However, with religion, they were told what was right and what was wrong. If you didn't do a good thing, you would enter hell. If you did a good thing, you would enter heaven. If there was no religion that told people what was wrong and correct, the world would be in chaos. The order would be destroyed, and everyone would be living in fear as no human could trust others. It was like saying 2 tigers cannot hide in the same mountain. By then, everything would be a bloodbath. So, Riser had never thought of destroying the church and felt like it was a good thing, as he could use this to tame people so they would be obedient to him. With those thoughts, Riser held Gabriel once again and did his best to maintain the numbers of the angels so they could help him to keep the world a peaceful place. Chapter 397, The Heavens. With what had happened between Riser and Gabriel, he decided to stay in heaven for a while, as he also needed to accompany Meredith. In addition to him, Michael also knew Meredith's ability, and he wanted to see what Michael wanted to do after knowing all of that. Michael also understood that it was a test for him with Riser, so he didn't do much and just asked for Meredith's help to calm down the church while also sighing as he understood why Meredith became Riser's contracted magician. As for Meredith, Meredith was happy to help, and she knew that with this, her influence would become much bigger. It was also due to this that she worked hard for her Riser Sama so that he would praise her. With those two being busy, Riser stayed in heaven with Gabriel's companion, escaping from his work in the underworld. Staying in heaven was a good thing for him, especially when he also wanted to stay in this place. His stay was also welcomed by everyone, and Gabriel also continued to explain about all the areas within heaven. Still, watching heaven, he felt like he could create it by himself. He knew that his words might seem outrageous, but in the end, heaven was a place sitting above the clouds with a bright white ceiling high overhead. Apart from that, it is also guarded by a large gate and has a white stone path and stone buildings, which appear to be floating. If it were others, they wouldn't be able to recreate it, and they thought that only God was capable of creating it, yet Riser could do it. Or rather, he felt like the fact this place was created by the God of the Bible was a lie. Instead, he felt this place was found by God on the dimensional lost as he felt a similarity between this place and Agrias, the floating city within the Agar's territory. Nevertheless, he had to say heaven was a fun place. As for why it was a fun place, it was because each region was different and had its own uniqueness. As he had said before, heaven is divided into 7 regions, or heavens. The first was the first heaven, the first floor of heaven, where the brave saints and low-level angels generally reside. It also serves as the front line of heaven's defense. This place was also the one that was affected the most by the rebellion of the church, as the one that did the rebellion was helped by the brave saints or the reincarnated angels. Those reincarnated angels thought that they had done the right thing due to the others' influence, but in the end, they were all slaughtered by Michael and the others without mercy. While many places within this region might be destroyed, this place was still beautiful on its own. Next was the second heaven. It is a place filled with darkness where the angels observe the stars and where they confine angels who have sinned. It is also where those involved in the Tower of Babel incident are imprisoned. As for why the rebellion caused so much trouble to everyone, it was because the rebellion also attacked this place and caused all of those who had sinned to escape and join the rebellion. It was also why Michael didn't hesitate to K*LL Dulio at that time, since Dulio didn't seem to care when those who had sinned escaped. Dulio even supported those groups of sinners so they could become help for Dulio and the others. Riser knew everything that he saw might be scary, and some even uncomfortable to see all of this, but he felt that this was interesting as it made him learn about many things, and at the same time, he sought after stronger strength as he felt that he wasn't strong enough. Still, while he sought after strength, he wasn't in a hurry and continued with his trip to the next place, which was the third heaven. It is the home of the souls of the dead who have been taken to heaven. It's so vast. Yes, Gabriel nodded. It's so vast that it's almost immeasurable. In the past, I have tried to use a century to walk around this place to see the limit. You really don't have anything to do, huh? Gabriel chuckled as she linked her arm against his. But now, I have a lot to do. You are right. Riser also smiled, and he also observed the expression of Gabriel's brave saints, who seemed to be in reverence when they saw this place. He thought that this place must hold such importance that when the war happened, those angels tried to do their best to stop the rebellion from reaching this region and limited the fight on the first and second heaven. In this place, there was also the Tree of Life, and Riser could also see that this place seemed to have a connection with purgatory. Knowing this fact, Riser knew that terrorist might be able to attack heaven from this connection, so he closed this connection easily. Yes, he knew that this might seem outrageous, but he had controlled heaven. How? It was with the power of Kote Kote no Mi. With this power, as long as he wished to, he could control all inanimate beings, including heaven. Still, those were small things for him, and more importantly, he realized that Gabriel's brave saints were all beautiful women, but as Gabriel was by his side, he didn't show much interest in those beautiful reincarnated angels who had been following him and Gabriel. Instead, he focused on his trip to the next region of heaven, which was the fourth heaven, the Garden of Eden, where the legend of Adam and Eve began. This is the place where the Tree of Wisdom resides. Watching this place, Riser felt that humans were quite stupid as they decided to live on Earth when they could live in such a wonderful place, yet that was how a human was, right? Foolish. Well, Riser couldn't say that he wasn't foolish thought since he kept fighting and fighting even though if he gave up, he could get a comfortable life, yet as he had chosen this path, he would continue to fight. Playing in the Garden of Eden for a while, Riser decided to visit the next region, the fifth heaven. But as he had been in this place before, he moved to the next region, the sixth heaven, known as Zebul. The current core of heaven is where the seraphs, such as Michael and Gabriel, reside. It is protected by a large gate that only a God-class being could break through. Gabriel also lived in this place, and she invited him to play in her home. Naturally, their play was impossible to do on the outside, and Riser loved his private life being unknown, so he wouldn't do something outrageous, yet he had to say, he might be the first devil who could do all of this, he thought. If the original Lucifer knew what he did, Riser could imagine that Lucifer would cry in happiness, as he was able to do something that his predecessor couldn't do. Still, after he played in Gabriel's house, he went to the last region, the seventh heaven, the home to the sacred gear system and God's system. Also, where the God of the Bible once resided in heaven when he was alive. And it was the place that he had wished to enter. Chapter 398. Go Beyond. Staring at the large gate before him, Gabriel said, "No one can enter this place after the Father is dead." Riser glanced at Gabriel, who became sad and just pulled her into his embrace as he patted her arm gently. Still, he didn't care much about the death of God. Instead, he was more interested in everything that was kept inside this place. Or rather, this was his first intention to come to heaven, the seven heavens. While it was impossible for others to enter, it was possible for him to enter. So, at this moment, all the four great seraphs, whether it was Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, or Raphael, gathered around him as they saw that Riser was ready to open this place. Yet, the four of them had to say that their hearts felt complex. In the past, they saw how Lucifer was kicked out from heaven, then became the devil, a being that brought the human into a sinner and also their enemy. Yet, in the end, even without the devil, a human was a being that would make themselves into a sinner. Even if the devil didn't do anything, the human would do many foolish things. Moreover, at this moment, they also worshipped the devil as their new lord. While they had decided to follow Riser, they had to say that they felt complicated. But the world was like this. Only the strong could exist, and those who could adapt would continue to live. If they couldn't become the strongest, they could only adapt. So at this moment, all of them decided to follow Riser wholeheartedly and even present this place to him. If he can do it. Lastly, if Riser really could take this place, then he would become the new being, with the God of the Bible within him, and he could also control all the sacred gears that had been circulated in the world. Then, I will open this place now. Yes, Riser-sama. Phenex. Be careful, darling. Nevertheless, unlike the others, Gabriel was worried when she saw Riser was going to enter the seven heavens. When the God of the Bible died, some angels tried to enter this place, and as expected, they perished. You don't need to worry. Nothing can K***LL me. Yes, nothing could K***LL Riser. It would be different, though, if he was sealed or trapped in another place. Yet, in this world, where he was the strongest, was there such a being that capable of doing that? Riser only laughed, then used the power of Kote no Mi to take control over the seven heavens. The place that had been sealed the moment the God of the Bible died started to move, and it was taken over by Riser. The holy and bright light illuminated the entire space. Whether it was Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, or Raphael, they closed their eyes subconsciously. Even though they were angels, this light was too much for them, yet for the devil like Riser, he should perish, strangely enough. He was okay, and stepped into the seven heavens before he closed the door as he knew what he would do next wasn't something that could be seen by others. While the angels might have sworn their loyalty to him, he knew that he wasn't the real God, and there was still a chance they might betray him, especially with what he was about to do. Apart from Gabriel, he was still wary of the other three. Nevertheless, as expected, on the seven heavens, the place where God was living previously, there were many things. All the systems in this world, whether it was to control heaven or the sacred gears, existed. At this moment, he took control of everything, and he had officially become God. Well, he was still a devil, though. Even though he had taken the DNA of the Lucifer and also devoured the Great Red, in the eyes of the others, he was still a devil. Still, due to Miracle and Armageddon, he also became an angel. Wait, I should be a god too, right? When he thought about it, as he had devoured the gods from various regions, he should be officially a god. Yet unlike the god from the other mythology, the god from the Christian was different. There was only one God, the only mighty being. This was the God of the Bible. So, even if he had become a god due to devouring the gods from another myth, he felt like he wasn't one. So at this moment, He put his attention to the being that lay within this seventh heaven. Even though this being had died and couldn't move a single muscle, Riser knew that if his power was just as good as Michael's, Surzeka's, or Ajuka's, it would be impossible to approach this figure. Even though this figure had passed away, and it was his first time seeing it, Riser knew well who it was. God of the Bible. The corpse of God was right in front of him. Frankly, after he devoured the Great Red, he had been searching for God, as he knew that as long as he devoured the corpse of God, he would become the new God. No, he would become even stronger. Maybe some people thought that what he was doing was wrong, but even the original protagonist, Issei Hayadu, wasn't much better than him, as Issei's method to get stronger was similar to his. In the original, Issei, who was just a normal human and the holder of the boosted gear, the SOSO rank of the Longinus, became strong due to his body being recreated by the Great Reed's flesh and also Ophis, so he could become the strongest. In this story, Issei also got stronger in a similar way, as his body was recreated by Shikigami, and also Issei from the future. If there was a difference, Issei got everything by being given. Meanwhile, Riser used his efforts to become stronger. There was nothing wrong with what he did, and he also had devoured the will of God from the true Longinus, so he just approached this corpse and devoured it so he could become stronger. At this moment, heaven shone brightly, and everyone basked in the gentle light. Everyone, whether it was the angels or those who followed the teaching of the Christian faithful, cried with all of their might before they prayed. Even Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael were also praised piously until the gate of the seven heavens was opened, and they saw the figure that they had been waiting for. Riser Phenex. Everyone cried in happiness when they saw Riser. Nevertheless, Riser, who had devoured the God of the Bible, smiled, feeling happy by his new gain of power. However, this was far from enough. He didn't think that it was enough for him to face the enemy that he was about to face, but fortunately, someone was stupid enough to help him. In the underworld, where Riser had gone to heaven, everyone worked together to make this place a better place. Whether it was the devils or the fallen angels, none of them cared about the difference anymore and held each other's hands as they followed the same Lord. Yet, what no one expected, when everything was in full swing and everything moved in the right direction, was the Agrias, the floating island within the territory of the Agar's house, disappeared. Chapter 399. Unforgivable. The disappearance of the Agrias naturally brought panic to everyone. Whether it was Seraphal, Thalbium, Zekrom, or many other powerful devils and nobles gathered together. Yet, if someone looked closely, they would realize that among this group, there was someone who was missing, and this devil was someone that was impossible to miss from this group, as this devil was one of the most powerful devils within the generation. As expected, Lucifer-sama can see everything. We need to act now. Before Riser left, he had told them something, and while they didn't believe it at first, it was different now as the fact was before their eyes. Yet, at the same time, they realized that they had underestimated how idiotic someone could be. Even Zekrom could only shake his head and sigh in relief, thinking that he was glad that he had slapped his son to death. If he didn't do so, then this son of his might encounter the same trouble. Riser Lucifer. If it was in the past, they might not think too much, but now it is different. Riser was at the top of everyone. He was above everyone. He was the strongest in the world. No one could deny his rule. As long as you wanted to live in this world, obedience toward him was the only way for you to live. Everyone in this place and the majority of the supernatural beings in this world knew that fact. Even many evil gods also followed him, yet someone was just too stupid to understand that. Why can one enjoy life? Yes, it's nice under him. Unlike the original Lucifer, who only thought of all of them as dispensable pawns that could be gotten any time, Riser never treated them like that. And as long as one lived a normal life, everything was okay. Naturally, those who were strong, wealthy, came from a big family, were talented, and many others had more privilege than those who were below, but that was a natural thing as that was how the world worked. Nevertheless, everything was peaceful. There was no need for them to fight except for the threat that came from different worlds and terrorists. However, there had always been one or two fools who would always cause trouble and wish to destroy this peace. I feel that a bit reluctant though. It can't be helped. This is the only way. Yes, this is the price for fighting him. Moreover, even if he is strong, his brain is just that. Well, that's true. Everyone agreed, and no one had any objections that they were going to K*LL the devil, who had given the Agar's island to the group of terrorists. Yet, They had to say that the person who committed this crime was so idiotic that he had never thought about the consequences that had been done to his family and those who were related to him. At the same time, they also felt frightened by Riser's method, and no one thought to fight him anymore because of this action. Still, no one objected, and all of them agreed that the devil, who had caused the disappearance of the Agar's island, had to disappear from this world along with all of his family. I will lead this attack. Seraphal looked at everyone and said, "Everyone, let's attack him as soon as possible." Yes. Since Riser wasn't in the underworld, it was their turn to protect this place. Moreover, it was also their chance to show their loyalty to him, so at this moment, no one hesitated, and they were going to do their best. Meanwhile, Riser Belial, who had returned to his territory, didn't notice anything. He just thought that he had done the right thing, as he knew that everything that had happened in the underworld was nothing built on the fake. He needed to return everything to how it used to be, and the first thing he had to do was give the Agar's island to the original descendant of Lucifer. Yes, instead of Riser, it should be the original Lucifer who led the devil. Nevertheless, Riser felt betrayed, especially when he knew the raiding game was nothing but a game played by high-ranking devils. It was nothing but a place for them to make money, which made him even more angry as they had tainted this game. Moreover, Riser should know that Riser didn't do anything and just let it continue like this. Unforgivable. Riser felt like everything had gone wrong under Riser's ruler, and he also knew that the death of his lovely cousin also happened due to Riser's government. Yes, everything was Riser's fault. It's all his fault. So, Riser was going to destroy everything. However, before he left the underworld, he was going to re-challenge him once again to tear away that fake Lucifer's mask. Unlike before, this time, he was confident that he was going to win and bring everything back. Cleria. Riser cried when he thought about Cleria Belial, his cousin, who was the past governor of the Kuo town before Rias Gremory. He knew from Risavim that his cousin, Cleria, died because she tried to uncover the truth of the raiding game, and because of that, he was going to destroy everything. No one was going to be forgiven. Everything had to return to how it used to be. Still, if someone saw him at this moment, they would think of him as a crazy person. After his loss to Riser, his popularity went downhill, and due to his animosity toward Riser, everyone also moved away from him. The Belial territory that was once popular due to his victory in the raiding game once again disappeared. It had become dilapidated with no one, and even bandits wouldn't come as there was nothing important in this place. His parents and family tried to say something to him, yet Riser never heard what they said and just followed what he believed, like he was the correct one. Everyone was confused about what to do, and facing the strongest in the Belial house, there was nothing that they could do. Still, Riser never cared about them, and he just did what he believed. Everything should go smoothly, and it should be moving in the direction in which he wished, and he had never expected what kind of disaster he had brought to his family. Standing on the hill as he overlooked his territory, he started to get nostalgic for the past, but suddenly, he noticed an extreme danger that came from the distance. Riser was about to do something, yet it was too late. A bright, massive aura blast came from the distance before it fell onto the territory of the Belial house. Nuu. Riser tried to scream, stopping this tragedy, but nothing could be done. Boo. Chapter 400. That's it. Everyone was in a daze by the destruction caused by the weapon Riser lent. Watching the territory of the Belial house that was destroyed from so far away, they felt their entire bodies cold. Falbium, who was the one who managed and controlled this weapon of mass destruction, felt a little cold for some reason, yet he didn't stop and destroyed everything within the Belial territory. This weapon was crafted based on the Starbuster Star Blaster, and Riser lent this weapon to Falbium. As for why Falbium was the one who held this weapon, it was because of his ability. Similar to other devils, or Mao, Falbium had a special ability. That ability was an absolute defense, an ability he was born with. It can, as the name suggests, block all attacks. Falbium's body is constantly wrapped in its aura. When in battle, the aura intensifies and becomes visible with an orange color. Destroying this aura is impossible for even being superior to high-class devils. The lights of the angels, which the devils are usually weak against, cannot move Falbium's aura one bit. The power of destruction from Surzek Lucifer is the only thing that can disable it, but the barrier aura can always be regenerated as a backup. It has been said that the only devils who are able to harm him are Surzek's, Ajuka, Seraphal Graphia, and Risavim. Well, facing Riser's attack, this ability was meaningless though. Still, this ability should be unrelated to why he was chosen to hold the weapon created by Riser. But that wasn't the case, as his ability could be switched to attack position, where he could turn absolute defense into an absolute attack, creating an even more powerful attack from this weapon. Or, he could even protect himself from the attack that came from the distance, as they knew that they needed to protect this weapon from the unexpected attack. Like now. I will K***ll you. Dehauser was all bloody and appeared suddenly in front of Falbium, but his sneaky, desperate attack was meaningless. Falbium didn't do anything and just stood in place, using his ability to defend against Dehauser's attack. He didn't even move, and he was completely unscathed, especially when he had prepared himself. But with Dehauser's intention to K***ll him, he also aimed the weapon at Dehauser. Dehauser felt his entire body was cold, and he could feel that death was near. But as an unbeatable champion of the raiding game, he wasn't weak. Worthless. At that moment, Falbium was unable to use his ability anymore. Yes, this was Dehauser's ability, Worthless, an ability that allowed him to nullify all abilities, including Mouse. There was no doubt this ability was powerful, and it was also why Bediz Abaddon and Roygun Belphegor were never able to defeat him. Falbium didn't expect this, but fortunately, he wasn't alone. When Dehauser was about to give a finishing blow to Falbium, his feet were grabbed by someone, and the attack on his hands was broken into pieces. Dehauser looked at Bediz and Roygun, who attacked him at the same time so suddenly. This was so sudden, and he was unable to react. He was so shocked as he didn't expect that the two rivals who had fought him for so many years would attack him like this. Yet Bediz and Roygun never gave mercy, and watching Dehauser, who was shocked, they also gave a finishing blow. Using the power of Hole, Bediz cut Dehauser's legs mercilessly. Using the power of Crack, Roygun broke all the defenses created by Dehauser. Moreover, at that moment, by using an all-out attack, Falbium gave a finishing blow with the weapon. At that moment, everything was covered in the blast. Whether it was the earth, trees, or many others evaporated, disappeared from this world. However, as expected of Dehauser, as the champion of the raiding game, he was still alive, but his situation was critical as he didn't have any powers to fight them anymore. Even so, Falbium, Roygun, and Bediz never stopped and did their everything to K***ll Dehauser. Still, as Falbium walked toward Dehauser, ready to end this stupid championship, he broke Dehauser's Worthless. How? The answer was simple, and it was by using his demonic power. Yes, Dehauser's power was amazing, but to use this ability, Dehauser needed to use his demonic power to overpower his opponents and stop them from using their abilities. If his opponent's demonic power were stronger than his, naturally, the consumption to use his ability was much more expensive, and under the siege of many powerful devils, he was unable to use his demonic power to seal Falbium anymore, as he also needed to protect himself. Watching many powerful devils walk toward him, Dehauser glared at them with intense hatred. Coward. If this was one-on-one, would he lose? Yet, they ganged him up and attacked him at the same time. How cowardly. Yet, at the same time, Dehauser shouted, Why? Why did you do this? Did I do anything? Everyone felt speechless by Dehauser's anger, since this guy never realized what he was doing. Not only did Dehauser make Riser his enemy, but he also worked together with the terrorist organization to steal Agar's island. Moreover, he was also ready to work with the terrorist organization to destroy the current underworld, and also exposed all the dirty things that the current government had done, such as the king piece on the raiding game. In the original, Bediz and Roygun might give up since there was no chance of them returning anymore, but this time, it was different. They had a chance to save themselves, so how could they let Dehauser destroy their lives? Yes, they might be cheating, but so what? The king piece was their power. It was like the sacred gear or the tools that many had used. Was it wrong to use a tool to fight? If so, then they might as well forbid the devils from using their special abilities, so it would be fair for everyone, as not everyone had a special ability. Still, they didn't bother to talk with Dehauser, as they knew that this guy was stupid. What a stupid guy. How per? I guess the world is a fair place. While Dehauser was given a powerful strength, his brain was so poor, so they might as well end him. Do you have no shame at all? I won't forgive you. I definitely won't forgive you all. I curse you. Remember, my blood will out. Dehauser knew that there was no chance of him escaping, and he knew he was about to die, especially being surrounded by many powerful devils. Everything was meaningless. There was no chance for him to escape. However, even so, he was going to make them remember him. He was going to curse them to death. Blood gushed out from her eyes like tears, and even if he was weak, he stood up, pointing his finger at all of them, remembering every one of their faces, even if he was going to die as he was ready to plan his revenge. Yet, the weak had no right. Before Dihauser finished his words, his head was cut. Serafal suddenly appeared behind Dihauser as she held a sword. So noisy. She shook her head and said, "Let's go back." "Okay." "Oh, so tired. I want to sleep." In the eyes, Dihauser was just a small episode. He was nothing but a bug that could be crushed by Riser anytime. If there was a reason why Riser didn't do it, it was because he had a vast and kind heart, yet Dihauser never appreciated Riser's kindness. As for the curse of Dihauser, haha. They were all devils. When were they afraid of curse? With the end of Dihauser, nothing changed much, but everything became peaceful once again.